Freud famously described repetition as a symptom of trauma and a defence against it. Many writers have picked up on his insight and applied it to culture and to visual art, to such an extent that trauma has become the default response to any and all forms of repetition. This has led people to overlook many of the other effects and uses of repetition. I want to look at one way that artists have used repetition to explore the world rather than to protect themselves from it. One of the things about repetition is that it's never exact. However hard you try, each repetition is slightly different. Even when the artist has done everything in their power to make an identical object, like these wall-mounted boxes by Judd, difference creeps in because they can't occupy the same space. Each box has to occupy a different place on the wall, and so each box shows a slightly different aspect to the viewer. Through repetition, the stack expands up or down the wall and explores it. Repetition is sometimes thought about as a kind of deliberate stalling of the artwork, but here, repetition is the means by which the artwork moves across the face of the world. Repetition enables Judd to dramatise the height of the wall. Now, you may say that a wall is a dull and boring object, and it's true that that's how we would normally regard walls. But artists often try to get us to look again at things that we think aren't worth paying attention to consciously perceive them rather than just recognise them and move on. There is a pleasure in discovering unsuspected qualities in objects, and this enriches our perception generally. Judd's pleasure in generating difference out of repetition is similar to the Italian Renaissance artist Paolo Uccello, playing with the possibilities of the geometrical system of perspective. This drawing of a chalice was made in the middle of the 15th century. Had it been made today, we would describe it as a net, the kind of schematic representation a digital animator would make. However, this was made long before any of these ideas were dreamed about. It is a representation of a chalice, but it's also an abstract drawing. At the centre of the page and the centre of the chalice is a vertical line that runs the length of the drawing. This line is abstract. It is not something you would find in nature, and it signals that the drawing is not simply interested in depicting a chalice that you could imagine holding or picking up. It is just as interested in incremental changes of shape. The chalice is analysed into little quadrilaterals arranged in horizontal rows. Each shape in any given row is the same as all the other shapes in the same row, except, of course, the effect of the perspective system is to alter the apparent shape as it turns towards or away from the viewer. Looked at in the flat, each shape is different. Imagined in the round, each shape is the same. I believe this pleasure was also felt by Uccello. Mostly the chalice is drawn as an opaque object, but around the base and the lip are some ring shapes that are transparent. Now I can't prove this, but I would guess that these were added later and are evidence that he felt that there was more to be got out of the drawing in the process. This in turn suggests pleasure on the part of the artist, a desire to keep going, which encourages the viewer not to stop at recognising the chalice, but to keep looking, to explore the shapes horizontally and vertically. Judd's stack is similar to one of Uccello's horizontal rows. Registering the slight changes from one box to the next is one of the pleasures it offers the viewer. It is a neat pleasure, to be sure, a pleasure in regularity, in things fitting together, with nothing left over. The stack also functions as a kind of mirror. Because everyone's eyes are at a slightly different height, the middle, as it were, will be slightly different for everyone too. So as well as making us aware of the height of the wall, the work makes us aware of our own height at the same time. It responds to our movements, changing its appearance as we walk towards it, around it, or whether we stand or sit. So another pleasure is a heightened sense of our own bodily existence. Judd has made a lot of works in this format. The gap between the units is always the same as the dimensions of each box, so there is an equality between solid and void. There is repetition within each work, as each box is essentially the same as all the others, and there is repetition across the series, as while materials and dimensions vary, the principle of arrangement is identical. Seen from a distance, the vertical faces on the front and sides of each box are most prominent, but as you walk towards it, the tops and undersides gradually occupy more of your vision, and as Judd treats the planes separately in these stacks, this has quite a large effect on how you see the piece as a whole. There is a pleasure in revealing the difference concealed inside the same. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.